Unlock Protocol works. So, Unlock Protocol is a system to create memberships and sell NFTs. You can do it very quickly. Those memberships can be subscriptions, tickets used for token gating. Many people use them for DAO memberships. Also, we've seen lots of use cases in things like games and credentialing. Um, all of the things that we build are open source. We are community governed. There's lots of libraries and dev tools, and including the no code tools that we have, everything is open source. Was founded in 2018 by Julian Genesau, who is an all around great person. I enjoy working with him. He had a company called Superfeeder that was really successful, sold to Medium, and I actually met him back working in XMPP before that even, and he was talking about the decentralized web before blockchains existed, and I bumped into him at an XMPP meetup, and he was talking about federated identity at that point over XMPP servers. So very forward thinking and definitely a trailblazer. Um, like I was saying, we see lots of use cases for Unlock Protocol. Here's just a breakdown of what some of those look like. Um, Definitely, we've seen other use cases outside of this. People get pretty inventive using those time-based mechanisms to do things like even tracking supply chain and other really interesting things that can be done with NFTs. Because if you really think about it, NFTs are a storage mechanism for information, and you can use them for so many different things. Um, we've got lots of people in our ecosystem, lots of building that's been going on, a ton of integrations. We work with a lot of the other existing decentralized tools to make Unlock as interoperable as possible, and doing things like these hackathons um, over the years has given us lots of examples how decentralized tools can be used together, like Lego pieces in a building block Lego pieces, put it all together and make your apps. So we think NFTs are the new membership model for the web. And really, that membership is a primitive of the web. And you can see this over and over again throughout the years since the internet started. Some form of membership has always been included in the models that we use across the web. For us, the idea was uh, standardizing that model that we use, and that is why we're a protocol and not a platform. So that is also why everything we do is open source, because you can only truly have a protocol if everything is open. Um, Not all NFTs work for this. Yes, we follow the ERC 721 specification, but there's some significant differences with what we've done on top of that specification to enable memberships in the use patterns that we've recognized on the web. So no, not every NFT works right for this particular use case. Here's the things that are different about Unlock and what grabbing at Unlock contracts in comparison to an Open Zeppelin ERC 721 is going to give you. They're time bound, so you can put time constraints on them, and those can be one time or reoccurring. We have lots of mechanisms for monetization, and royalty revenue is great, but as we've seen with a lot of the controversy that's gone on around royalties, it is not necessarily always the best way to get some sort of continuous revenue. Instead, subscription models have been something that's been proven to work on the web, as proven by the fact that companies like Netflix had seen so much volume and really replaced a lot of other models. So we know it works. Why not implement that on chain? So you can do reoccurring subscriptions instead of royalties, and those just make much more sense. Um, we also know that people aren't 100% ready for Web3. Not everybody has a wallet yet. You're going to need some sort of solution in your apps to deal with that. We have on ramps for people to make those purchases with fiat if they do not have a Web3 wallet. We create one for them, and that is non custodial. So we also give them the tools to claim that wallet for themselves. We think that that's the best path forward, is enablement, not custodial, but enabling people to understand what's happening without stopping them. So we've partnered with Stripe for that purpose, and you can sign up for a Stripe account straight from our dashboard if you don't have one already for your app. If you're going to be using it for subscriptions, I would definitely suggest you do that. We've got lots of different access control mechanisms built into the protocol that are different than the specification. Some of those include, um, and most importantly, key and lock management. That in our world, the lock is a smart contract, the NFT smart contract, and the key is the NFTs minted from that contract. Um, those are transferable, and also they're upgradable. So we're constantly doing work on the protocol. We've been audited 3 times. We upgrade very often, and we allow you to upgrade those contracts with us as we implement new features or improve the contracts themselves, like gas optimizations and things like that. So you you get so much more building on Unlock if you're going to be minting NFTs. It actually doesn't usually make any sense to not use Unlock contracts, even if you're not going to use many of the features that we have built in. It does increase your gas costs slightly to add those features, but at the same time, having them available if you choose to pivot in your app can sometimes be very critical. And building that in the very beginning makes a lot of sense, especially when you're talking about nominal amount. Um, so monetization, that's the big one. Like I said, reoccurring subscriptions happens to be a model that we know works. And if you need monetization in your app, it completely makes sense to add unlock in for that purposes. But also monetization from another standpoint. Let's take a look at some of those other options that we have available for you. You can set up affiliate fees. Because we have a referrer model set up in the protocol for you to set refers and give a portion of the proceeds from those sales to another person. You can set those rewards per person. You can also that enables a platform fee. So if you're building on top of the protocol and you want to take a portion of the sales that are happening because you're enabling creators to create their own smart contracts through Unlock Protocol, and I will show you soon how exactly you can do that. You can set a platform fee. So this is another layer of monetization that can happen and a consideration you want to take, right? So if you're building that layer, you want to make sure it's sustainable. And the way that things are sustainable is thinking upfront about how you're going to monetize things. Talking about money is not a bad thing. Not talking about money is a bad thing. That's when bad things happen. Being very clear and transparent about how you do things upfront with money and what you're going to be charging is definitely the way to go. And also a way to put people's minds at ease, especially in this sort of atmosphere that we've seen more recently. So ways to use Unlock Protocol. If you're a creator, we've got a bunch of no-code tools that we built. We just added in lots of smart contract management tools in our settings page. You can do almost 100%, not quite 100%, but very close to 100% of the management of those smart contracts straight from the UI now, without having to go to Etherscan, and without writing a line of code. You can deploy your own customized smart contract. That is one you own, not us. And it is also not proxied to another contract that is owned by us. Another problem that we've seen in this space is that ownership of assets causes problems when somebody falls out. And if Unlock Protocol ceased to exist tomorrow, you are not going to have any problems using our smart contracts in your application because you have full control over those smart contracts. And that is a really important aspect to know, although Unlock's not looking like it's going anywhere. We've only seen growth even during this downturn. So uh, the the creator tools make it really easy to do things like verify tickets if you're using it for ticketing, because we have an app for that to scan the QR codes and check people in. We implemented that with a fairly big conference in Europe, ECC, checked 1,800 people in with that app and a bunch of volunteers in an hour. So no friction there using Unlock for ticketing purposes. This is the sort of use cases where we can actually solve some real world problems also. Credit card processing and everything can be managed through the app, including connecting to Stripe. And you can build your checkout URL, which the checkout, and I will show you that in a few, is very similar to what you see with PayPal or Stripe, little checkout modules. And I'll show you how to build one of those. As a developer, you can use the smart contracts interfaces directly in your smart contracts. And we have example code available for how to lock a smart contract with a subscription. These implementations have been used for uh, people who are building some very custom features in their own smart contracts and want to do subscription based services for those specific functions. And doing that in your smart contracts is actually the most secure way to do it. Locking on the front end has its downsides. And if you are locking on the back end and in your smart contracts, you're doing it in the most secure way possible. And that it can be done very easily by simply importing our contract interfaces. You can token gate features in your applications, receive reoccurring revenue for what you're doing. If you want to just deploy one of our contracts from the UI and then integrate it into your front end for the purpose of reoccurring subscriptions. Many people do that, and there's lots of SaaS apps now using Unlock Protocol for reoccurring subscriptions, and for other things like podcasts and subscription-based services for other content. Um, you can you can actually help your users monetize the content that they're distributing if you're building something that is content related. And especially when we're talking about the Web3 social, this is really great for people who want to um, build systems for influencers who want uh, specific content to be locked. So let's say, for instance, you want everybody to have access to your general feed, but you want an alpha feed or some other sort of monetized locked portion. This is really great for that purpose. Um, some inspiration for y'all. These are all the other people that are here in the Web3 Social Hackathon. There's lots of different ways that Unlock can be used in combination with those. I have spelled them all out here for you, and I won't go into super detail, but I will provide this for you guys to come back and take a look at, because I think that there's also a bunch of opportunity here for us to talk more deeply about different combinations of things and where strengths and weaknesses exist and how to properly architect how can be used together like Lego pieces to build your applications we want to make sure that you build those sanely. Please come to us and ask us questions about specific use cases, and we can give you some guidance about when it might be more appropriate to use lit for access control as opposed to unlock, or when it might be more appropriate to use ceramic instead of lit for access control to content. And there are very specific use cases where one is more beneficial over the other. And please come to me and ask. I'm not always going to push you towards unlock for every single purpose. I'm going to tell you the benefits of doing it one way or another. I'm going to pull that person in from ceramic or lit or Orbis, and we'll sit down together and have a conversation with you. What we want to see is good building, well architected applications. Our goal is to help you get there, to get you to understand the details of the technology that's being used, and how they can be combined in the most sane ways. That's not always pushing our thing for a specific use case it might not be good for. So definitely never feel shy about asking me questions that dig into some of those details. And I'm happy to go over some of that with you guys. I was going to do a little bit of live coding today, but just like every, you know, just like every potential live coding, I had a trouble spinning up the the repo. So I am going to show you guys some code instead of doing some live coding. And if I can get out of full screen mode, because it just does not want to exit. There we go. So we're going to take a look at a repo. It's not as exciting as is looking at me live coding, but can you guys still see my screen? Just making sure it's live, but I want to make sure. So we've taken the Scaffold ETH repo, which you guys might be familiar with from Build Guild, and created an unlock flavor for y'all. And some of the differences between the Scaffold ETH main repo and the unlock repo are unlock has a hard hat plugin that's already added to that. We've added some of our packages for the front end in order to give you some examples of how to token gate inside of a React component. And we've also included the packages that you need to create those smart contracts straight from the UI. So let me talk a little bit about how that works. And I was hoping to gate some content for you guys on the fly, but I'm going to show you how it's done instead. First of all, the instructions on how to spin this up are all right here. Hopefully, like me, you won't have any trouble because you didn't like go update some global TypeScript thing yesterday that broke your stuff. And then under packages, you're going to find Hard Hat, React App, Services, and Subgraph. And in the React App, we've got a few special components that you'll be able to use to gate content based on ownership of one of the unlock NFTs. Those components are all specified too here on the homepage, just so you know, in the README, and how to do the settings and everything is right up here. So definitely check out the instructions. If anything's missing, ping me and let me know. But you should be able to find everything that you need right there. Those components can be found here. They're going to be locked nav and locked content. That uses our paywall package. And the paywall is like a small, lightweight JavaScript library that effectively says, hey, do you have an NFT from this contract? And if you don't, then it invokes our checkout. So our checkout is that minting experience I was talking about. Let's go take a look at what that looks like right now, actually. We have a app that this is our tools UI. Anytime you deploy a contract on Unlock, you can see those locks, those smart contracts here in this UI. So even if you're creating those in a different space, you'll still be able to see them here in this UI, not just ones that were deployed from this UI. And it'll be the same for your applications, just so you know. And you can manage those smart contracts by simply like clicking on one of these, and I'll have to switch networks now because I didn't pick the right one. But if you go to tools and create checkout URL, it pulls up this builder that you can use to actually sit here and figure out what you want your minting experience to look like. So if I want to make this the Wonder Woman code and I want to change the image and everything, I can do that here. And set the redirect for where you go afterwards. There's lots of different options. Refer is that who is earning the rewards. So you can sit here and create one for every single affiliate member, or you can actually do that programmatically if you'd like to set an interface that also does this same thing, but allows somebody to set themselves as the referrer when they're creating one of these checkouts to sell whatever it is that you're selling and earn some revenue from it. So an idea for maybe creating an app that enables affiliate programs would be super great. This is the message that pops up when you sign. You can add multiple locks. So the way that we've seen people using this is, for instance, if you're using it for ticketing and you have general admission and VIP, if you're using it for subscription-based services and you have something like bronze, silver, gold, and that sort of thing, you can use it here. Now you can copy this URL, which is just a link to literally this checkout that you're building, and it will take people step by step through purchasing with crypto or credit card if they don't have a Web3 wallet. Or you can download JSON, and this is what you're going to use to configure the paywall package, so that you actually can sit here and see what it looks like ahead of time and then download the JSON file to add to your project, to know that it's going to look like you want it to look straight from here. It's just like a much easier way to build those as opposed to typing a bunch of JSON out. So, and to tinker with it a little bit to ensure it looks the way that you want it to, and it makes it really easy. You're going to find the configuration for Unlock straight in the React app. It's pretty easy actually to get there. And then once you do that, and let me show you also where to find that in our documentation, tools, paywall. So again, paywall is the lightweight JavaScript library you can drop into any app. It you can actually just link to it too in anywhere, and I help people implement this on a regular basis in a bunch of other places like no code site builders like Wix and Squarespace and everything else. But also you can import the package from npm and use it that way, which is how it's used in the Scaffold ETH repo. Unlock.js can be used to deploy locks and interact with the smart contracts. The checkout is what we were just looking at, and this is all the instructions on configuration, including collecting metadata, which you can do and build that out straight from the UI that I was just showing you. You can add metadata straight from here also on the configuration side. And then you'll also find Locksmith really useful, which is an API that we have for updating that metadata and getting more information. There's also a web sub implementation so that you can set hooks and get callbacks for those events that happen if you want to listen for those in your application. Very useful. We have a subgraph that you can use, and it's all pretty well documented here. That is also implemented in the Scaffold ETH repo, so you can see exactly how it's used. And here's some example queries so that you understand how you might be able to build those. Um, Lots of different tools available. They're all used here in this Scaffold ETH repo. But we also have some additional examples, and I want to show those to you guys today. So the Scaffold ETH repo is really great for seeing how a combination of a lot of our tools can be used. But it's not perfect for deployment environments if you're going to be building an application for you know actually going into production. It's more of an example repo in the sense of a teaching tool of teaching you how all these pieces can be put together. But um, most people are using Next.js and Vercel for deployments, which totally makes sense, which is why we also have an example for Next.js gating. Um, in this example, you'll also see how to do front-end gating and back-end gating, because there is an example for client-side and server-side locking. And in addition to that, you can see how to lock a Next.js API endpoint straight from here. So there's lots of examples. And this repository, the Unlock Examples repository, has a bunch of different stuff in it. So we have hooks in our smart contracts, and this is a really important thing to understand because this is how you leverage what we've built into our smart contracts without being hampered by the fact that you're using our smart contracts. So you can customize the functionality of our smart contracts by registering smart contract hooks. And the way that those work is simply just registering another smart contract that you want to override a particular function. And we've got 7 different hooks available for you guys to use now for that purpose. And you're going to be able to find that in our documentation under core protocol, which has all of the smart contract interfaces and also has a reference here to our hook. Some of those hooks, probably the most common one is the on-key purchase hook, and people use that most often to insert custom functionality for pricing. And that can be anything from how many of whatever other token do you own? Let's say, for instance, giving discounts to people who have been, you know, supporters from early days. Or some of the other implementations I've seen is discounts for affiliates. I've seen people use the on-key purchase hook to whitelist in smart contracts, which is a really smarter way to do it. And you can set hooks for any of these things though, and I think they're pretty clear just based on the name. So grant key, again, a key is an NFT in our instance. So when the NFTs are granted, that's when that hook is. Key extension, that is because our NFTs are time bound. When you extend the time on it, that's when that one is called. Key purchase, that's pretty clear when somebody buys one. Key cancel, canceling is the process of saying, nah, it's not valid anymore. Since we have time bound NFTs, you can invalidate them while they're still sitting in somebody's wallet. And on token URI, that is when the token URI is called, that will be initiated every time. On valid key hook can be used to check additional validation. So we check, is it, if it's time bound, and you can make them perpetual, just to be clear. Sometimes, occasionally, people think because they're time bound, they have to be. They don't have to be. You can use all the other amazing features that we have in the protocol without using that feature. But we check for that time. And if you want to check for something else in addition to that, that's the hook that you would use for it. And then on key transfer hook, that one is pretty clear. So when they're transferred to from person to person, they can be done there. Any questions? That was a lot. That was a lot of me talking. I want to make sure that I I combinations actually, and in fact, it unlock itself is not good for social graphs, and the combination of Orbis and unlock actually together is a really powerful set of tools, because you guys have everything you need for that social aspect of it, and we have everything you need for gating and monetization, and the combination of the two is like really featureful actually, and being able to use the JavaScript libraries from both like easily in your applications makes it really easy. Is it possible to create custom purchase key modals? Okay, so that is customizable to a certain extent, in the sense that this logo here can change and this title here can change. And aside from that, no, but this is open source. So yes, in that sense, you can fork it and white label it effectively. And let me show you the mono repo because that is also anything you see in our dashboard app that you get to straight from our homepage here. This is all open source, and you can fork this whole thing and do whatever you want with it and make it your own, customize it, change the way it works, you know, make it work for an instance that is social based instead of utility based like we have. And I think that, it's all the tools are there and available for you, but also this is remembering that our unlock repo is actually the best example you're probably going to see in terms of implementation of full implementation of the protocol so far because it's completely open source. So this is a mono repo, and if you're not familiar with mono repos, I just want to give you guys a quick rundown. You'll see the different packages that we have available in here. Um, Smart contracts is pretty clear. Paywall app, that's our paywall app. Unlock app, that is the where you're going to find all of the everything in this app.unlockprotocol.com is all that. So how we built that is all right here for you guys to see. Um, and if you want to take any part of what's in there and fork it, you most certainly can and make it your own. And including, extending the functionality, please contribute back since we open source everything. We appreciate your contributions. We do not have a UI for customizing those modals, but I have seen several people now at this point simply just change the CSS on the front end and not even worry about forking the repo and like changing the packages at all. They've been able to override those CSS classes and make it customized fairly easily. But you can see how the CSS is all built in there since it's all available and visible inside of our mono repo. And if you guys have any trouble finding anything, then let me know. No, nope. They can purchase a key straight from your app. The functionality exists for that to happen straight from your app. We built that as a convenience tool so people can use it in combination with Stripe easily because we developed a relationship with Stripe so that you guys don't get your Stripe account shut down. Because otherwise, in the past, people have had trouble on Stripe with getting shut down if they're doing sales for NFTs. We developed a relationship with them to effectively whitelist anybody that comes from the Unlock app and has connected their Stripe that way so that they don't get their account shut down because it was sort of a constant problem before. But it's definitely not something that you have to use. You create your own minting experience. We have the JavaScript library for that, and you can you can make it invoke your own modal or page for purchase if you use the paywall app, because there are events that it emits, and when you register for a callback on one of those events, you can register, for it to take whatever action you want. And if you want that action to not be to pop up our checkout modal and instead go to your own custom minting page, then that is something you can definitely do. Does that make sense? Glad glad I can help. Any other questions too, you guys? I wanna make sure I get to everything. We have so many tools available. It's a lot to cover, but, we've got a little time left, so I wanna make sure I get all your questions answered. Right. Yeah, you guys really make it easy. That's why I love the combination, actually. I think, you guys make it easy and we make it pretty easy, so, leveraging the 2 together is actually really powerful. You're welcome. I see some more typing happening, so I think maybe. Just a couple more things while somebody maybe is typing. Um, in our docs, you're gonna find all the stuff that goes over, any tools you need for code. And if you wanna use the no code tools, we have guides for that. So that is unlockprotocol.com/guides. And you can see how to use all of those. And also down here under plugins and integrations, you can see where there's already a bunch of plugins and integrations built. um, some really handy ones: Cloudflare, Firebase. If you want to use Firebase as a backend, we have an integration for that, with lots of no code builders, also other that you can leverage. This you're going to want to, if you are, you know, hitting creators and you want to show them all the places that they can take the memberships that they create from your apps to other places for content distribution. This is a great place to grab that list and show them what can be done. The power of creating, decentralized memberships is the fact that you can take the the followers, membership groups, subscribers with you wherever you go, and be able to check that from other places. So, decentralization at its best. Yay. Oh, I see you ask in the Discord. Yeah, definitely do. You can ask in the Orbis Discord. We also have a developers channel over in the Unlocked Discord. And any time of the day or night that you're hacking, there's usually somebody over there, because we have a pretty global community over there. So, and even some of the core team members are very distributed. I'm on the West Coast in the U.S., and we have team members between all the places between here and India. So lots of different time zones, and usually somebody in our Discord server in the dev channel answering questions at any time of the day or night, pretty much. Um, and if you have any questions about how specifically to integrate Unlock with Orbis, I've gotten pretty familiar with the Orbis SDK now, and I'm pretty sure that between Charles and I, we can answer your questions and get those like specific use cases hammered out. So definitely don't stumble around in the dark. We're here to help. Bye, guys. Have a great day.